following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. It's time now for the Sumner County Sports Podcast with your host, Zach Womble, covering high school sports all across Sumner County. Spring sports season is here. Now, here's your host, Zach Womble.
Hey, everyone. Welcome into another edition of the Sumner County Sports Podcast. And joining me, as always, behind the scenes is the one and only JP Plant. Does such a great job. As always, please like, subscribe, and rate the podcast wherever you may be listening. You, of course, can follow me on Twitter at Zach Womble MSP, the show on Twitter at Sumner Sports Pod, and Main Street Preps at Main Street Preps. That show Twitter used to be the Full Court Press Podcast, but I transitioned it to encompass all Sumner County sports. So if you would, please give it a follow. You can also check us out on Facebook at Main Street Preps, the Gallatin News, Hendersonville Standard, and the Portland Sun. Of course, the Gallatin News, Hendersonville Standard, and the Portland Sun are our newspaper that deliver every week to your doorstep Thursday morning. So make sure you subscribe to those so you never miss any action in your own backyard, whether that be sports or news. I want to give a quick shout out to the fans who tune in each and every week. Your support is greatly appreciated, so I just want to say thank you. Our top headlines this week are a few things. You can check out my Riley Gaines feature on MainStreetPreps.com. Riley Gaines was a standout swimmer for the Station Camp Bison before taking her talents north to Lexington, Kentucky, where she swam for 4 years for the University of Kentucky Wildcats, highlighted by multiple SEC championships, as well as Olympic trial qualifier, NCAA tournament championship qualifiers, and much more. She holds 6 Kentucky records there in Lexington, and I tell you what, she was a lot of fun to talk to. You know, Riley made headlines as of late when she actually tied the first open transgender athlete, Leah Thomas, in the NCAA event in the 200. She tied for 5th place, and the NCAA governing body elected to give Thomas their one and only 5th place trophy because they only had one on hand. Riley would later receive her 5th place trophy in the mail. And of course, that made national headlines, and she has definitely done her fair share of media the last couple of weeks. So I really appreciate her jumping on with me to talk about more than just that. Honestly, we talked about her time in the pool at Kentucky, her time growing up, leading to Kentucky. What is life like for her now that her swimming career is over? And of course, being a voice for women's athletics across the world, she is definitely using this spotlight to her advantage to speak out for many silenced women swimmers, many silenced women athletes, not just across America, but worldwide. So she is taking full advantage of that. So she was a great interview. She was a lot of fun to talk to. If you haven't checked out that story, you can do so on MainStreetPreps.com. Again, that is catching up with Station Camp swimmer and University of Kentucky swimmer Riley Gaines. And you can actually see that in our newspapers as well, the Gallatin News and the Hendersonville Standard. Carrie Tomlin did a wonderful job designing that B1 front in the Gallatin News. And she actually changed my headline, which was catching up, to diving in, which actually is obviously a play on words for swimming. So a really good story from Riley. And you know what? Just a great interview and a great time to talk to. Other headlines in Sumner County this week is Mike Hendricks, Hendersonville High School baseball coach. The head coach looked for career win number 650 against Beech. It was scheduled for today on Wednesday, but with rain coming in all week here in the Middle Tennessee area, that game has actually been postponed until tomorrow. So Coach Hendricks will look for win number 650. Beech actually defeated Hendersonville Tuesday night at Beech High School 5-2, and we'll get into that a little bit later to derail and postpone that win for Mike Hendricks, who has been at the helm for 30-plus years at Hendersonville High School, has done a lot of marvelous things. So excited to see when he gets that win, whether it be against Beech on Thursday or later on the season, you know that it is coming and you know that career milestone will be celebrated. Also, jumping into this week's headlines are the Sumner County Track and Field Championships, of course, sponsored by the Gallatin News and the Hendersonville Standard. We'll get into more of this in a little bit as we welcome in Sumner County Championship Meet Director Brian Dickman to the show. Brian Dickman, also the head coach of Hendersonville High School. But the Sumner County Track and Field Championships kicked off yesterday on Tuesday at Hendersonville High School after getting delayed on Monday due to the rain. They made it work, but I tell you what, certain spots looked like ponds. They were siphoning out water from the long jump areas, and on the football field there were definitely pools of water that you had to enjoy. But whether it be the long jump, high jump, pole vault, discus throw, and many more events, it was able to take place without a hitch. Several athletes were crowned champion of their field events. The running prelims also took place, and so, those will conclude on Thursday. Coach Brian Dickman will get into that more a little bit later up after the break, but still happy to see those championships go off without a hitch yesterday. I was worried, honestly, because, it rained all day on Monday, and then Tuesday did not look great either. But you know what? They were able to make it work, and I'm excited to get into that interview with Brian Dickman. So stay tuned. After the break, we speak with Dickman himself about directing the Sumner County Track and Field Championships as well as his Commandos.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck, yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Nobody covers high school sports like Main Street Preps, bringing you hyper-local coverage of the teams and athletes in your backyard. Wherever your Main Street is, we've got a podcast for you. From the Sumner County Sports Podcast with Zach Womble, Casey's Take on Sports with Dixon Post and Cheatham County Exchange sports reporter Casey Patrick, the MSP North Podcast with Brady McAtamney and Blaine Keller, covering Montgomery and Robertson counties, to Main Street Preps this week with Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier with a macro view of prep sports in Middle Tennessee. Find the latest prep sports from Middle Tennessee from your Main Street at mainstreetpreps.com, and find these podcasts dropping weekly on these Main Street Media social platforms and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, back to the Sumner County Sports Podcast. Here's Zach Womble.
Thanks, JP. Yeah, a lot of great things over at mainstreetpreps.com. He listed all the podcasts that we do. I don't know anyone that does high school sports quite like Main Street Preps. So if this is right up your alley, then you should get in touch with us. Sumner County businesses, I'm talking to you there. We want to get you on the show. We want to get your voice out there. We want to get your business out there. So please reach out to us. We would love to hook up with you and create a sponsorship. Now, we welcome into the show first-time guest and Hendersonville Track and Field coach Brian Dickman. Coach Dickman is the Sumner County Track and Field Meet Director, so we know he has a busy day ahead of him, and we just want to say thank you for joining us to the show. Brian, how is your Wednesday going?
It's going pretty good. Glad to be on, and excited to talk about track and field.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks again for joining us and for doing this. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, Brian. Where are you from? Did you run track growing up? How did you get involved in the sport at the coaching level, and your tenure here at Hendersonville High School that began in 2014?
Yes, I grew up in Wheeling, West Virginia, up in the northern Panhandle. I ran track starting in junior high school, ran through high school, and was part of a really strong track program at Wheeling Park High School. We were state runner-up 3 years that my sophomore, junior, and senior year. And so just a great tradition up there, and it really helped me grow. I was a football player as well and saw the benefits of what track did on the football field. And was fortunate enough to continue that into college. So I did football and track through college, and again was blessed to have some success, at the national level and get to, a national championship meet in college, and just, and had some great mentors along the way. So I moved to Hendersonville in 2011 for work. I worked in kind of corporate finance for an auto insurance company, Acceptance Insurance, and but when I met some of my neighbors, Coach Beasley, who is now the head football coach at Hendersonville, was one of my neighbors, and we were meeting and talking about our backgrounds, and I said, I'd really love to get back to the sports that did a lot for me. So he said, hey, we're always looking for volunteers and and help. So I said, hey, and so in 2014, he was still helping with track at the time, and Coach Parrott was the head coach, and I talked to her, and that's when I kind of joined there, initially just kind of volunteering a few days a week, and then, within a year or so, it really came into a full-time role, and, now, been the head coach here for, a few years now, and just, again, just blessed and just love kind of giving back to the kids and really seeing them develop.
I've been a part of Sumner County sports since 2017, and it seems like Hendersonville Track and Field has continuously made growth each year. You've obviously done some really good things, applied your knowledge to Hendersonville High School, coached some great athletes along the way. How would you assess your program as far as the growth that it has gone under in just such a short time with you kind of leading the way?
Well, it's been interesting. It's kind of cyclical. It's when I first started, the girls, we had much higher numbers on the girls' side. A lot of soccer players were coming out and really developed there. On the guys' side, the numbers weren't, we didn't really have the numbers. Didn't have a lot of the other sports athletes coming out. So we had success early on with the girls. It's, again, you got to have the numbers. You got to be able to fill out the events, and you can't, it's nice to have those elite athletes, but you got to have the role players as well to be able to fill out the relays, to get those third, fourth, fifth places that get you points in meets. And, we were able to do that on the girls' side. Now, when Coach Beasley took over the football program, being a track guy himself, he really saw the benefits of what track can do for football players. So since then, our numbers on the guys' side have really grown up to this year. we have the most football players out. We probably have the most guys. We have like 45 guys out this year, which is by far the biggest number I've had since I've been there in 2014. So, it's when you have the other, it's really a relationship to get with the other sports coaches and help them understand and see the benefits of what track and field can do for their athletes in their sports, whether it's working on speed or agility or, it's just training different muscles that they wouldn't use in those other sports that they now are developing through track. And when they go back to their other sport, they're more durable. They have better balance, they have better quickness. And so it really helps the athletes all around. I think that's one of the bigger things that I've seen in Hendersonville that's really helping, especially on the guys' side.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with you. There are a lot of benefits to running track. So all those things you listed, are you going out, like you mentioned the relationships with the coaches? Are you recruiting in the hallways at Hendersonville High School as well? I mean, how far are you going to get kids to come out to the track and field team?
Well, it's kind of tough not being, really it's talking with the other coaches, because in my situation, not being, a teacher, I'm not at the school during the day. So that is a challenge, in our current setup, so it's making sure that I'm building those relationships with those coaches and communicating with them and, and getting those benefits and having them help me recruit those kids out there. And they're pretty receptive to that, and they're starting to see it. They see the results of what, some of these especially the football players coming out and having real success. Again, last year, Jamison Wharton placed the highest in the 100-meter dash at the state meet that any boy's ever done. We actually qualified a relay that placed fifth at the 4x1 in the state meet. We had David Johnson in the long jump and the high hurdles last year. So, it's kind of that success starts to breed and it gets momentum, and we're starting to see that. It started with the girls at about 2018 and, winning the county championship, and Brooke Long kind of started, with qualifying for the state meet a couple times. Then we had Kayla Minchie, and, so we've now had continuous, qualifiers in the state, and it starts to build a little bit more excitement.
Most definitely. You're exactly right. Success breeds success, no matter the sport or the situation. Speaking of championships and winning, Beech and Station Camp are looking to defend their team titles on Thursday. How close are the Commandos to competing for their first boys championship and their first girls championship since 2018?
On the girls' side, this year the numbers are down pretty substantial from our past years, and we've had some injuries, so it would be tough on the girls' side. But on the guys' side, we actually are in probably one of the best positions we've ever been in. So we've set ourselves up pretty good for the finals on Thursday. I mean, it's going to be a really close, but it may even come down to the last race. It may come down to the 4x4 on who wins the meet between us, Beech, and Station Camp. So I was kind of looking at how it may play out, and it's really tight. So it's exciting. The guys are really excited. We've done, from the qualifying events, we've qualified, of course, Jamison's kind of doing what he does. He, put himself in great position in the 100 and 200. He won the long jump yesterday. But we've got two other guys, we qualified 3 in the 100-meter final. Aiden Powell and TJ Lewis are in the 100. We've got Garrett Jones is also in the 200 final, so we got 2 there. We've got 2 in the 400 with Garrett and Landon Trader. Our relays should be very competitive. Oliver Cunningham, he's a freshman running distance. He got 4th in the 2-mile yesterday. Beech is really tough in the distance races, and they're going to, really show out there. But as a freshman, he's going to put himself in the mix, and that's key. And I help these guys understand every place we get is points to the team. So it is, you got to battle to the end. But in the prelims, our throws did, Kyle Duvall and Justin Biggs and Caden Friesick and Aiden Powell did great. We went 1-2-4 in the shot, 1-2-5 in the disc. So everybody's kind of doing their role, and Jamison's kind of leading the pack, but there's a number of role players that are out there.
Most definitely. Jamison Wharton headed to Vanderbilt University on a football scholarship next year, but has been a standout on the track and one of those beneficiaries to running track and field. Coach, obviously Hendersonville has the county track at its school, so with that comes hosting several events, including the 20th annual Sumner County Track and Field Championships, so what we were talking about. This week maybe prep looks a little bit different with all the rain for your school, but what does it take to pull off an event like this each and every year?
The biggest thing is the volunteers and the coaches pitching in. I mean, Hendersonville hosts it, but let me tell you, every school and coaches pitch in, parents pitch in, whether it's running the concession stands. Obviously yesterday we get up there and our long jump pits are completely underwater, and within an hour it was amazing. We were able to get one of the pits together, and what it looked like by the time I wouldn't have imagined we get there. So I mean, it is the coaches from all the other schools. I mean, everybody just comes and does their part and is willing to help whatever they need to do. And that's because we all have a passion for track and field. It may not get the publicity or, that a football does, or basketball, baseball, but the people that do love it, man, it's a consensus of we will do whatever we can because it just gives so much and we enjoy it.
Well, Coach Dickman, I really appreciate your time today for joining me. I look forward to Thursday wrapping up and seeing how it all shakes out. But, Coach Dickman, thanks again for joining us on the Sumner County Sports Podcast.
All right. Anytime. Thanks, Zach.
Stay tuned after the break. We will hand out our Player of the Week award as well as view a few other items from around the county, and we will end the show with a little extra innings baseball, so you don't want to miss that.
Nobody does what Tennessee's doing. It is incredibly hard to perform at that level, much less replacing the players Tennessee replaced. I think everything pointed to, if you know the way the league usually works, you can kind of guess that to say, well, they were this last year, they lost that, they gained that. You can usually peg them in a range where you're pretty sure that it's going to fit at the end of the year. What they have done is mind-blowing, and I've never seen a team doing what they're doing right now. I have seen some of Tim's teams do this before, where you get to the midseason point, you just don't know where this team is going. You're not even sure if it's good or great. You don't know what it is. And at the end of the season, he's pushed all the buttons. And they've won a national title or something like that. We've seen that happen before. I don't know. And the thing is that makes it so tough is I don't understand their offense right now, Mo. I don't get – you watch them 3 weeks ago, they're coming off – they're on an 18-game winning streak. And number 18 was 10-0 over South Carolina in its building on Friday night.
You can tell the angst is through the roof with league executive, coaches. I mean, first of all, I cannot relate, but everyone is on the edge of their seat just trying to get ready for this game coming up against the unknowns. I think we as a people give ourselves too much credit. Listen, my dad is probably the worst driver on the planet, right? So when they come out with self-driving cars one day, he's going to buy one. And there's that mindset, right? Everyone's like, I would never have a car drive for me. What if it malfunctions? It's like I drive in Nashville traffic every single day for like 3 hours. I see how terrible human drivers are. I think people give themselves too much credit. So they're like, oh, the ball and the chip will mess up. No, it won't. And if it does, it'll be like a one-time thing and it'll be fixable.
As we bring in the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, who sits in our studio today, and that was awesome. I hope you will clip that out.
Hope you heard that.
Hey everybody, welcome back into the Sumner County Sports Podcast. As we begin to wrap up the show today, let's jump into one of our favorite segments that we try to do each and every week, and that is our Player of the Week segment. And we are handing that to Beech pitcher Cooper Johnson. Johnson finished this week 2-0 versus Station Camp in Hendersonville, helping the Bucks move to 3-2 in District 10 4A standings, which is good enough for second place. Johnson in his 2 starts threw 11 1/3 innings combined, giving up 11 hits, 1 earned run, and striking out a combined 17 batters on 170 total pitches, which was 85 in each game. Of course, Beech beat Station Camp 6-0 last week, and then Hendersonville 5-2 on Tuesday night to hand the Commandos their first district loss of the season. So Cooper Johnson, our Sumner County Sports Podcast Player of the Week this week, going 2-0 and fanning 17 batters. Other notes from around the county include Hendersonville soccer with their trip to the Bearden tournament turned out well for them. They showed well playing Science Hill, Bearden, and Farragut. Station Camp soccer, they were able to add 2 from Nashville SC, including Jack Kemp and Connor McLean. I actually went to Station Camp last week to cover their match against Columbia Central, and Columbia Central played spoilers to that story. I was going to tell a story about how Jack and Connor added this different dynamic to the Bison in the midfield, but Columbia Central wanted no part of that story as they absolutely drilled the Bison to a 5-0 shutout. I actually wrote that story for Columbia Central, and you can check that out on MainStreetPreps.com about how Columbia Central relishes in the underdog role. So they will be a team to keep a lookout for in Class 3A this season. Other notes from around the county upcoming this week, we've got Gallatin baseball versus Station Camp, which will be a great baseball game. Station Camp and Beech softball are tied atop the District 10 4A standings at 4-0. The 2 teams were scheduled to play this past Monday, but that got rained out and has been rescheduled for April the 30th. They actually will play their first game at Veterans Park on April 19th, and I am very much looking forward to that contest. Little extra innings baseball, as I promised you earlier in the show, looking at the Tennessee baseball team setting a record for their 12-0 start in conference play. Never been done before. They were 30-1 on the season and then were upset Tuesday night in Kodak, Tennessee at the Smoky Stadium, falling to the mighty Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles, now 30-2 on the season. And as a Tennessee baseball fan, I am not upset in the slightest. I wondered when they were going to find the next loss. They had won 23 in a row, and I am actually anxious to see how they respond to some adversity. So, baseball, the great equalizer, congratulations to Tennessee Tech on their first ever win over a number 1 ranked team in program history. A lot of Tennessee Tech alumnus around here in the Middle Tennessee area, so a lot of people were excited to see that victory. So again, congratulations to the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles on taking down the number 1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers and ending their 23-game winning streak. That will do it for today's episode of the Sumner County Sports Podcast. As always, we end the show with a shot on that there basket. I've made 3 in a row. See if we can't go for 4. Let's check it out. I blocked the last 3 I've noticed on the playback. I'll try to let you be able to see if I make or miss, but here we go. I didn't make it, but you see the backpack there, landed in the backpack. So, Jordan Shrug, I'll see you next week.